Let's talk about repurposing content. When I say repurposing content, I mean taking one piece of content that you've shot or edited and editing it differently to suit different platforms. There are two main ways to think about repurposing your content. One is platform-based and one is time-based. When you're first starting out creating content, the platform-based model is going to be the most helpful for you. So if you record a long form video podcast and you put that up on YouTube, that's great, but that's just one piece of content. Repurposing your content maximizes the actual individual pieces of content that you can get from one shoot. One thing that you could do with this long form podcast is split it up into 4 or 5 pieces of what we call micro content. So micro content can go up on Instagram Reels, TikTok, LinkedIn, you name it. But if there are 5 golden sound bites from this long form podcast, and you have those 5 spots picked out, you can make all of those pieces horizontal videos if they're 1 to 3 minutes long, cut them out and put them up on LinkedIn. So there you now have 6 total pieces of content, the long form podcast and the 5 pieces of micro content. What if you cut down those 5 pieces of micro content, increase the pacing a little bit, formatted them to vertical videos? So now you have 5 TikToks, and you could also publish those on Instagram. The main thing to keep in mind when repurposing your content for different platforms is to be conscious of what type of content and what type of style performs well on those platforms. So on LinkedIn, videos with captions perform really well because most of the time when people are scrolling on LinkedIn, they're at work, they're on their desktop, and they might not have a pair of headphones to plug in, or they might not want to turn the volume up on their computer. So when they come across a piece of video content, they'll watch it, but they'll watch it with the sound off. So make sure whenever you're repurposing content for LinkedIn, you always include captions on your video. For TikTok, it's a little bit different. Content on TikTok tends to be a little bit faster paced. There might be graphics in the beginning to immediately inform you what the video you're about to watch is going to be about. TikTok is all about pulling in the audience in legitimately the first second and a half. If you can't hook the audience within the first second and a half, they will scroll away. So play around with different graphics and text features when you're editing your videos for TikTok specifically. At the time of recording this, Instagram is pushing Reels hard. They are literally reorienting the entire app to be mainly video based. Any content that you publish on Instagram Reels is probably going to perform considerably well. That said, there are still a couple of things to keep in mind when publishing content for Instagram Reels. Number one, they only allow videos up to 1.5 minutes. This could change in the future. They've been slowly increasing the amount of time that videos can be, but right now it's still just 1.5 minutes. TikToks are allowed to go longer. You can upload up to 10-minute videos to TikTok. The other thing to keep in mind with Instagram Reels is aesthetics play really well, and you don't have to be quite as brash with your graphics and effects as you have to be on TikTok in order to capture people's attention. That said, you can take the exact same edit that you uploaded to TikTok and repurpose it on Instagram Reels. The second model for repurposing content is based around time. So if you record a long form podcast and in that podcast you reference Elon Musk buying Twitter, because that's what's relevant in culture at the time of recording. And 3 months later, there's some drama about Elon Musk buying Twitter or backing out of the sale. You can easily take a quote from that podcast, do a little clip of the segment that you talked about that and referenced it, and publish it to one of these social platforms and include yourself in the social commentary because you already had this content in the bank. This type of repurposing content gets much, much easier once you have a pretty hefty backlog of content to pull from. And of course, it doesn't always have to be culturally relevant or something happening in the news. If you had a very high performing clip from 3 months ago, you could take that exact same clip edit it in a slightly different way, maybe tweak the text on it, change the color grading, make it look a little bit different, but the core of the content is going to be the same, and that's a valid form of repurposing content.